up, everybody? Today we're discussing the light infantry unit type in squad. This is probably one of the harder unit types to use, especially if they're on the wrong map. So let's take a look. But first, make sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a like, and drop a comment down below with your favorite unit in squad, and let's get to it. So what are the light infantry units focused on? Well, primarily speed and mobility as infantry. So while air assault had a ton of speed because of the extra helicopters, the light infantry unit is going to be focused primarily on light vehicles, or things like quad bikes or motorcycles. And it's not the amount of light vehicles they have that's important, it's the variety. That's because this unit lacks armor. In fact, you're only going to get your main battle tank and no infantry fighting vehicles. But you do get extra ATGMs when you set up FOBs. Some factions will also have light vehicles with ATGMs mounted on them, which can be quite deadly if used well, and that's going to be really important for the light infantry unit. These units will also only get one helicopter. So on the plus side, this unit is extremely fast and it can get across the maps even with crazy terrain pretty quickly. The downside is that you don't have a ton of armor to fight off something like an armored unit, and you have to rely on ATGMs generally to help balance that fight. Now, before you say that this unit is worthless and can't go up against something like an armored unit, I've seen it work. So it's not a lost cause to pick this unit against another unit that's heavy in armor. You just got to use the tools that it has. Now, like any other unit, it's important to consider the map choice before picking a unit type. Much like air assault, I think this unit is going to thrive on terrain that is difficult to navigate. Smaller maps, maybe some urban maps, and just maps with a ton of hills that tracks are going to have a hard time traversing. But I think this unit could be effective on maps like Kora, Mestia, Scorpo, or Lashkar Valley. Now, despite not having wheeled IFVs to roam streets, I could also see this unit working at least all right on maps like Narva or Fallujah. So I just don't think this is a unit you should pick for maps like Black Coast, Gorodok, Harju, or Manikugan, because you're going to have long roads and sight lines where armor can really just dominate and hold you back from being able to advance. Now, part of me wants to say that there's an argument for how this could be a beneficial unit to use on something like Talil Outskirts, but it's going to take a team with a lot of coordination to be able to set up all the ATGMs you may need, especially going up against an armored unit, which is typically what's picked for that kind of map. Now, the overall build of this unit places more importance on the rollout itself. With that speed and maneuverability, finding clusters of objectives to place infantry and spread them out into that area just to cause some chaos for any infantry pushing that early is going to be pretty important and helpful. I would suggest checking the map in the map voting phase and looking for clusters of objectives that you can spread out your infantry around or at. And if you're able to get that set up quickly, you can then begin to have the helicopter resupply, while also making sure you have logistics vehicles coming up so that you can get 2 of those ATGMs down to defend the position. Beyond that, you're going to be looking at this unit as probably more so defensive than attack, unless you can get some of your infantry in a position to dismantle the enemy's defense by taking out HABs, FOBs, and really making it difficult for their armor to get into position. Because obviously with this unit, you just don't have like a wrecking ball of armor just to send at an objective to push the enemy away. And therefore you're relying on that speed and mobility we talked about before. And I think that attack can often come at a pretty big risk. If you spread out your infantry too much, you may not be able to hold on to an objective, especially if there's no discipline in terms of where blueberries are spawning. Whereas something like the combined arms unit or the armored unit is going to have multiple swings that they can take at certain objectives because they just have a ton of firepower in protected vehicles. Now let's take a look at what factions have light infantry units. Keep in mind that all the conventional forces are going to have an extra ATGM per FOB. The IMF and Insurgents will get up to 3 SPGs for their FOBs, and keep in mind they also have cheaper HABs, and with Insurgents you can always build 2 HABs per FOB. Now let's break down what vehicles come with each faction. Well, starting with the Blue 4 factions, the US Army has the 1st Brigade Combat Team 10th Mountain Division. They will operate up to 3 transports, 2 full-size Logis, 9 quad bikes, and a bunch of MAT-Vs, including 2 M240s, 2 M2s, 2 MAT-V Crows M2s, and 2 MAT-V TOWs. They'll also have 1 Abrams on a 20-minute respawn timer and a Black Hawk helicopter. The only other Blue 4 light infantry unit is the US Marine Corps' 1st Marines Regimental Combat Team. They're going to operate up to 3 transports, 2 full-size Logis, 9 quad bikes, and a bunch of Humvees, including 2 Humvees with an M240, 2 with an M2, and 2 Crows M2s, along with 2 TOW Humvees. They'll also get an M1A1 Abrams on a 20-minute respawn timer and 1 helicopter. Now, for independent factions, we'll start with the IMF's irregular light infantry. They're going to have a bunch of vehicles, including up to 3 transports, 5 motorcycles, 1 full-size Logi, 1 full-size armored Logi, 2 armored technical lodges, and 1 techie lodge. You're going to get 2 technical dishkas, 2 armored technical dishkas, 2 technical SPG-9 trucks, 1 armored technical SPG-9, 1 BM-21 Grad artillery truck, and 2 anti-air Zu-23 trucks. The IMF will not have a helicopter, but they will get 1 T-62 on a 20-minute respawn timer. Next, we have the Insurgents Irregular Light Infantry. This is going to be another long list of vehicles in 3 transports, 5 motorcycles, 3 full-size lodges, 2 technical lodges, 2 technical dishkas, and 2 technical M2s. You'll also get 2 Hummer M2s, 3 technical SPG-9s, 2 armored technical SPG-9s, and 2 anti-air Zu-23 trucks, along with 1 T-62 on a 20-minute respawn timer. And of course, no helicopter. The Middle East Alliance is going to operate the 4th Border Guards. They're going to have up to 3 transports. Instead of full-size lodges, they're going to get 5 Samir lodges, which are much smaller, carry less, but very fast. They're also going to get 2 Samir MG3s, 2 Samir Cords, 2 BRDM2s, and 2 Samir Cornets. They'll have 1 T-72 on a 20-minute respawn timer and 1 helicopter. For the PAC Alliance, we have the PLA's 149th Mountain Infantry Brigade. They're going to have up to 3 armed transports, 2 full-size lodges, 2 CSK-88s, and 2 CSK-89s, along with 2 CSK RWS and 2 CSK HJ8s, which is their ATGM light vehicle. They'll have 1 ZTZ on a 20-minute timer and 1 helicopter. Next up, we have the PLA Marine Corps' 4th Marine Special Combat Battalion. Their build-out's going to be similar to the PLA, with up to 3 transports, 2 full-size lodges, and a bunch of CSKs, including 2 88s, 2 89s, 2 RWSs, and then 2 of their anti-tank HJ8s. Instead of 1 ZTZ, they'll actually get 2 ZTD-05 tank destroyers and 1 helicopter. Finally, we have the Russian Ground Forces Separate Reconnaissance Battalion. They're going to have up to 3 transports, 2 full-size lodges, 2 Tiger Cords, 2 Tiger RWSs, 1 BRDM2, and 1 BRDM2 Spandrel. They'll have a T-72 on a 20-minute timer and 1 helicopter. At the time of posting this video, these are the light infantry units available in squad, along with what you should expect in terms of vehicles. It's honestly pretty rare for me to actually see this unit getting selected. Typically, it still seems like the votes are going to lean towards factions or units that have some armor in the mix beyond just 1 tank. But that's not to say this unit can't be effective. But like I said before, I've seen it actually work really well. It involves a lot of speed, and there's certainly some coordination needed across the team. It certainly won't hurt to look at previous rounds to see if selecting this unit is going to work well with what you've seen the team doing so far. But like any unit in squad, I'd recommend giving it a fair shot and trying it out, because I think it could be a lot of fun, especially if you have a couple coordinated squads really making some moves, and especially on maps where the terrain is terrible to navigate, win, and attract vehicle. So if you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a like, and drop a comment down below with your thoughts on this unit, and I'll catch you next time.